Peace, beautiful souls. Okay, so something that's been coming up, something that's been coming up lately by no coincidence whatsoever is like mother wounds, right? And mother traumas. And how ironic that Mother's Day is very soon, right? Um, this one personally has been something that's always been so hard for me to let myself dive into throughout my whole entire life and still now. And I think it's mostly because I really care about what my mom thinks, and I care about and worry about like hurting her feelings. And I think I'm used to, not I think I'm used to when I tell her about how I feel, it not being like received well and it going like real left, and then I always end up still feeling like unheard, unloved, and uncared for. And I've felt like this since I was a young Ren, and still to this day I feel this way. um a lot of my life I've actively worked on like healing my dad wounds and put my mom wounds like on the back burner, or like pretended like they don't exist, but they do. And it's been hard. I'm grateful that I got to be here these past few months with her, but it's also been really hard for me, and I feel like I've still been silencing myself, my inner young Ren, my raging teenager, all of the above. I've went through a billion and one emotions, and I'm leaving soon, and I was starting to feel like really disappointed because I was feeling like one of my goals of coming here was to like better our relationship. And I don't know why in my head I thought it was going to go one way, and I saw a video yesterday or something, and this woman was saying like, why am I going to go to the, something along the lines of going, why am I going to the person that hurt me to feel comforted or something like that. And she was saying, granted, it's different if like your parent has done the work, right, actively, versus if they have not and you're still going to them trying to get something that you've never gotten before from them. And then how she was saying like learning to not give certain parts of yourself to your parents that they cannot handle, and then because you're not safe, and that's why it doesn't feel safe. Like that's why I don't feel safe to speak my feelings. I don't feel like I'll be heard. I don't feel comforted because they don't have the capacity to give that to me. So why would I go into it expecting it just because I've done some type of work or whatever? Like it takes two people. It takes more than just you. But it's like it's just hard. And it's actually quite sad, and I realize like I've numbed a lot of it. I've done that. I think I stopped actively like allowing myself to feel sad when I was still a kid, like, or feel sad specifically for the things I've been through with her. It ended up going to like anger when I was a teenager. The sadness turned into anger and like resentment. And then in adulthood, it was more so me like feeling bad, and me feeling like, I guess, seeing her actually who she is, like, besides just my mom, like the human her, the the child in her, or young Ren in her, and all that, and like her own wounds and traumas. So it was like me then feeling bad and me just not wanting to hurt her or add to her trauma by speaking my truth, which then again is still suppressing my own, And I know that I can't do that. And like it doesn't benefit me at all. It doesn't really benefit her at all either because it gives no space to grow in within ourselves, within herself, even though again she'll have to choose that for herself, but me just staying quiet to keep the peace does nothing really. Maybe it temporarily keeps the peace, but I feel myself again feeling more angry and more resentment, and it's again because I'm trying to like suppress my sad feelings, what I'm actually feeling, because I feel like those feelings won't be comforted, it won't be catered to. Like I can do it for myself, but I don't want to do it for myself. I want her to comfort me, and cater to those feelings, but that's not something I can make happen. So I keep trying to suppress that, which is not good for me. And it was the same thing in the video saying like we have to reparent ourselves. And I'm realizing too that's something that's like an ongoing thing. It doesn't just happen. Like for a season we reparent ourselves and we cater to those feelings, then like never do it again, just as actual parents should be doing that our whole lives, not just like when we're babies or not just like when we're kids, but our whole entire lives, or their whole entire life I should say. They should be doing that for us because they're our parents, regardless of what how many years you've been on this earth, they're still your parents. We're still their kids. And I think it's more sad when I see people that have parents um, that are like true, like you could really see the love and really see how much they care for them, even when they're grown. And it's beautiful. I'm always happy seeing that, but it stings a little too to know that like I don't have that and I won't ever have that. And I don't want to say I won't ever because you never know, you know, how things would change. But with both of my parents, I don't see like it would take a lot of work because even sometimes people feel like if they just try to switch it up all of a sudden that it's going to be received well, and it's not always like that. Like things take time. I have to learn how to feel safe with both of my parents and I don't, and it would take so long. Like I'm stopping myself because I'm thinking about if she was to see this or if he was to see this, mostly her, how it would make her feel. And I don't want to hurt her feelings, but getting hugs by my parents or hearing them say like they love me, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel I don't feel love. I don't feel comforted. I feel like numb or uneasy, or I just don't feel safe. And I have every right to feel that way because like they were not always there. I didn't always feel safe, and when they were there it wasn't always a safe environment. And not to say that my mom like beat the crap out of me or anything. She Both of them rarely ever hit me, but there's other ways to make someone feel unsafe besides just physical like hitting. You guys know, most of you know I had, sexual trauma with my dad on top of just seeing the way that he was in general. And then with my mom it was different. There were times that she did hit me, which obviously didn't make me feel safe, and which I think people think like you have to like that there's a difference between like hitting and like abusive hitting, and I used to think that too, but overall that doesn't make me feel safe. And then just different times that she was not in my life for different reasons and I was somewhere else. So many things contributed to making a child feel unsafe. And just the communication, the way the communication was, it was not good. And there were some times that like I felt like she treated me like I was some random girl in the streets. Not many times, and I'm talking about with physical hitting or fighting, whatever you want to call it, but there were a couple times that it was just so clear that there was absolutely no respect for me. And even now, in less subtle ways, without physical abuse, it's still very clear that there's no respect for me. Like, I don't feel respected, I don't feel loved or comforted. And it's just sad. And I think it's hitting me more now again, because, like I said, I'm leaving soon. And it's just sad. It's always sad when I let myself like really feel these feelings of what I actually feel for my parents or like how they make me feel. Because that's obviously not what I want. I'm sure that's not maybe their intentions, but that's my truth. That's my reality. And it sucks. And I know it's not for no reason, but I know I also need to really let myself feel these feelings and validate these feelings and not gaslight myself like they have, my whole life, making excuses or just literally not hearing me or invalidating or them going into like overly dramatic sad mode because I'm saying how I feel. And it's so funny because it's not funny, but it's funny. I realize I've dated, okay, let me figure out a word this so it doesn't sound creepy. In therapy, years ago, I was in PTSD therapy, and they would ask me, well, multiple different therapists actually would ask me, do I feel like I date people that are like my parents? And at first I got offended by the question, like, what the hell are you talking about? And at first I was like, no, 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 like, no way. Then I thought about it more, and I always, when I like dove deeper, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see how I dated people that were like my dad in like these narcissistic ways, and with certain things saying they wouldn't hurt me, but they always do hurt me and all this stuff. And then recently I've been thinking about it more, and I also have dated people like my mom in that manner of me coming to them with my feelings and them like crying or getting over like defensive and saying, how can you say that, I love you so much, and blah blah blah, like all these things. And I realized too she gets that from my grandma, and also has her own like narcissistic tendencies. But again, like I made excuses for it for so long, and it was also easy for me to make excuses for it too and stray away from the anger side because my brother was a lot more angry and outwardly angry towards her, and I would feel bad and see how that goes, and I'm like, I don't want to go that way. It would take a lot for me to get to that level, but it was mostly when I was younger, when I was like a teenager, the raging teenager, where that side of me came out with her directly. And it wasn't very many times, but it was sometimes, but it was still always me having to also come and apologize, like, even though I'm the kid. And now, honestly, I feel like just tired, like, and yeah, it's again to me relearning like acceptance and accepting people for who they are, where they're at, what they're capable of giving, and me trying to not take it so personally. But again, I'm trying to let myself really feel all my feelings and not just like numb it and brush it aside because I understand like why things are the way they are. I need to still honor like my human feelings and what I actually feel in order to let that go and truly like move forward and really not take it all so personally, and to not have like that resentment and stuff by letting myself just feel and process all those feelings. It is not easy at all. I think a big thing, like a feeling unwanted by your own parents, like that's just hard. Even if they say, like, again, like telling you they love you or that they would want you around, but their actions show different. You know what I'm saying? Especially when there's things you've asked to them and there have been like broken promises or like unkept words. And it's like, what's the point of even bringing that up and saying, like, oh, but you said this? Like, actions speak louder than words. You know what I'm saying? And I think it just hurts so much to see that, like, to hear them say, oh, yeah, I'll do this for you because I want you around, type of thing. Or I won't do this because I want you around. And then to see them do that thing or not do that thing, it's like, damn, you don't really care. And then again, I have to know the things that I need. Some people just can't give that, and it's not about me. It's about like their own personal journey. And again, that's why I'm saying learning to not take it personal, but it doesn't make it, it doesn't just take away the pain, you know. It's like I feel like the baby version of me or the kid version of me that like wants that attention from my parents so bad, you know. Over time it goes away, but I don't think it ever really goes away. We just close that voice down because it's not being given to us, you know, which is the same thing as what babies and kids end up doing, or they act out to get the attention in a different way, you know what I'm saying? And then I think that stems from like where a lot of people's I'm not good enough comes in when they have like parents that don't show them all that love truly, because it's like if the person who birthed me, if I'm not feeling that from them, like who the heck else is gonna see it? You know, they're supposed to be the people that love you the most and praise you the most and root for you the most. And when that doesn't happen, it does have some serious effects. And I do know I'm good enough. I do know I'm worthy of all the love and stuff like that. But it's just sad and hard when it's not, like when you don't get it from your parents. No matter, again, what age you are in this world, it might get easier to deal with. You might understand it a bit more, but it still hurts. This video is hecka long. I apologize if you guys hear the screaming out. I'm sitting outside. It's Saturday, so. Oh boy, oh boy. I think that's all I've got to say for right now. I love you. See you later.